Welcome to the Health Headliner podcast by Tudu Digital. Our content is informational only and not medical advice. Please consult your provider. Now, let's dive into today's headlines.
When we think of kids and energy problems, we often think of those sugar rushes
Right.
and those big crashes afterward.
Oh, absolutely. The classic sugar high.
Yeah, exactly. But today, we're taking a deep dive into something a little different. What if the issue isn't so much the sugar, but how their cells handle fat?
Interesting. Okay. I'm intrigued.
Well, that's where this really rare condition, tangio-2 deficiency disorder, or TDD, comes in. And it can be incredibly serious. You can have a child who seems totally healthy 1 minute,
Wow.
and then bam,
Really?
a simple fever, even skipping a meal, can trigger a major metabolic crisis because their body just can't use fat for fuel efficiently.
That sounds scary for those families.
It absolutely is. And while it's rare, we're talking about only around 110 known cases globally, although experts believe many more can be undiagnosed. Studying TDD is revealing some pretty fundamental things about how all of our cells deal with energy.
It's amazing how these rare conditions can sometimes unlock these broader insights, isn't it?
Totally. So to help us unpack all of this, we have a leading expert in the field joining us today. Welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
All right, so before we get into what goes wrong in TDD, let's break down how our bodies typically make energy. When we need that extra boost, whether we're hitting the gym or fighting off a cold,
Sure.
our cells first use up the carbohydrates they've stored. And once those are gone,
They switch over to using fats, those lipids, to make energy, right?
you got it. And all of this happens within these tiny powerhouses in our cells called the mitochondria.
The mighty mitochondria, essential for all sorts of cellular functions.
And here's a fun fact. Our hearts rely really heavily on this fat-burning process.
Oh, I didn't know that. How much are we talking?
A whopping 60 to 90% of their energy comes from lipids.
Wow, that's a lot. Really emphasizes how important it is to have that system running smoothly.
Absolutely. So now let's talk about what happens when this process gets disrupted in TDD.
Okay, so in kids with TDD, this ability to use lipids for energy is compromised, which is what leads to these metabolic crises we talked about. They can experience a dangerous drop in blood sugar, muscle breakdown, which is medically known as rhabdomyolysis, and then there are the heart rhythm problems, the arrhythmias.
And as we mentioned, these crises can be triggered by things that are just normal parts of being a kid.
Exactly. A fever, a stomach bug, or even just missing a meal can set it off.
That must be terrifying for the parents.
Oh, absolutely. Incredibly stressful and unpredictable.
So to understand what's happening on a cellular level, some researchers in Barcelona have been doing some fascinating work. They published a study in the Journal of Cell Biology, and they used these glowing markers to track the tangio-2 protein in live cells.
Oh, that's clever. Like giving the protein a little spotlight so you can see what it's up to.
Precisely. And what did they find? Well, the big reveal was that the tangio-2 protein directly binds to and transports a crucial fat molecule. It's called acyl-coenzyme A.
Acyl-coenzyme A. Okay, bring that down for me. What exactly is that?
Well, think of it as the activated form of long-chain fatty acids. It's like the fats need to be in this specific form to be used for energy production in the mitochondria. And the process that extracts this energy, that's called fatty acid beta oxidation.
So beta oxidation is how the cells break down those activated fats into energy. Interesting.
Right. And here's the thing. The levels of acyl-coenzyme A in our bodies are constantly changing.
Oh, so it's not a fixed amount.
Nope. When we're fasting or under stress, those levels go up as our bodies try to tap into those stored fats for fuel.
Makes sense. Our body's always adjusting, trying to maintain that energy balance.
Exactly. So back to Tango 2. If it's the shuttle for acyl-coenzyme A, what happens when it's not working properly in TDD?
Well, the cells can't efficiently transport those lipids into the mitochondria, even if the body has plenty of fat stored up. It's like having a full tank of gas, but no way to get it to the engine.
A cellular energy crisis.
Exactly, especially during times when the body really needs that energy.
And that's why those crisis symptoms appear. The muscle breakdown, the heart problems, all because the cells are essentially starving.
Precisely. And it's worth noting this wasn't this research team's first foray into the world of Tango 2.
Oh, right. They'd made some previous discoveries about this protein, hadn't they?
They found that Tango 2 is actually located within the mitochondria themselves. a big clue pointing to its role in energy production.
It's like they were already on the trail of this energy mystery.
Right. And in cells without functional TANGO2, they saw a buildup of fat droplets and damaged lipids, suggesting a problem with how the cells were processing fats.
So this new discovery about TANGO2 binding to acyl-CoA enzyme really completes the picture, doesn't it?
It does. It explains why those metabolic emergencies happen in TDD. The shuttle's broken, the fuel can't get where it needs to go.
And the implications of this research might go way beyond just this rare disorder.
That's what's so exciting. This fundamental process of moving fat to fuel tissues is happening all the time in our bodies. And problems with this process, well, they're connected to much more common conditions.
Like heart disease or general issues with how our bodies metabolize fat, affecting millions of people.
Exactly. The researchers believe that understanding rare diseases like TDD can give us clues about those widespread health issues.
That's a powerful thought. But of course, as with any research, there are still some unanswered questions. What are some of the things the study doesn't explain about TANGO2? What are the scientists still trying to figure out?
So they've shown that TANGO2 binds acyl-coenzyme A, and it's in the mitochondria. But the exact way it delivers acyl-coenzyme A and how it interacts with other molecules in there, that's still a bit of a mystery.
So they know the what, but not the how.
Precisely. Does it pick up acyl-coenzyme A in the cytoplasm and then carry it across the mitochondrial membrane? Does it help present it to certain enzymes within the mitochondria?
Or is there another pathway involved?
Yeah, lots of possibilities, maybe even something completely new. And then there's the vitamin B5 puzzle.
Right, because we know that vitamin B5 can sometimes help people with PDD. But how does that fit in with this new understanding of TANG2?
That's a great question, and honestly, it's not entirely clear yet. One idea is that vitamin B5, which is crucial for making coenzyme A, might be boosting other energy pathways in the cell that TANG2 normally supports.
Sort of like a backup system.
In a way, yeah. Another thought is that it might increase the production of acyl-coenzyme A, so even a limited amount of functional TANG2 could be more effective.
So even with this groundbreaking research, there's still much more to learn.
Absolutely. Science is an ongoing journey.
And it's a journey with many voices. What did some of the experts involved in this study have to say about these findings?
Well, Vivek Malhotra, who played a huge role in the initial discovery of the pango genes, really stressed the importance of understanding how TANG2 works at a molecular level. He's a big believer in the idea that studying rare diseases can teach us so much about human health as a whole.
And Dr. Gustin Lujan, the lead author on the study, he put it in a really clear way, didn't he?
Yeah, he talked about how in TDD, the cells are basically starving because they can't properly prepare those fats for energy production. It's like they have the ingredients but can't make the meal.
And looking forward, what are the hopes for this new knowledge?
Dr. Umbretta Foresti, one of the co-authors, is hopeful that these findings will lead to better treatments for TDD, maybe even treatments that can be started before those metabolic crises hit. The dream is early diagnosis and prevention.
Shifting from reacting to these emergencies to being proactive.
Exactly.
And speaking of those on the front lines, what about the families impacted by this condition? I know there's the TANGO2 Research Foundation. What have they said about this discovery?
Mike and Kasha Morris, who founded the foundation, and who also have a child with TDD, they see every new finding as a step in the right direction, another piece of the puzzle. And they're so grateful for the dedicated scientists working on this. It's truly a collaborative effort.
Absolutely. And to clear up any confusion from past research, it sounds like this study really solidified our understanding of where TANG2 is and what it does.
Right. There were some earlier ideas that TANG2 was mainly in the cytoplasm and possibly involved in transporting heme. But this new research firmly places it in the mitochondria and shows its crucial role in acyl-coenzyme metabolism. It's a significant refinement of our previous knowledge.
A big step forward. So for our listeners, what's the main takeaway from all of this?
Well, for me, it's a reminder of just how complex and amazing our cells are. This tiny protein, TANG2, plays such a vital role in energy production. And by studying a rare disorder like TDD, we're learning things that could help us understand much broader health issues.
It really gets you thinking about all the intricate processes happening inside us all the time. And it raises some fascinating questions. If one tiny protein malfunctioning can have such a huge impact, what other hidden mechanisms might be at play in those more common energy-related problems that so many of us experience?
Exactly. And maybe this deep dive will inspire some of you to explore the world of mitochondria and lipid metabolism a bit further.
Because sometimes The answers to the big questions are hidden in the smallest details.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
So just to wrap up, Tengu2 is now confirmed to be this essential protein that binds acyl coenzyme A, which is key for moving fat-derived energy around in our cells.
And when it's deficient, that's what causes those severe metabolic crises in TDD.
But this discovery brings hope for new treatments, and it's also a huge step towards understanding bigger health challenges related to how we process and use energy. It's exciting stuff.
It really is. Thank you so much for joining us today and sharing your expertise.
It's been my pleasure.
And to all of you listening, stay curious, keep exploring, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
Thanks for tuning in to the Health Headliner podcast by To Digital. Like and subscribe for more health news and breakthroughs. Stay healthy and informed. See you next time.